It was a quiet morning at Tesla's private hangar in Palo Alto, California. The world seemed calm, and the usual bustle of the tech empire had yet to pick up. Elon Musk, the genius entrepreneur behind Tesla, SpaceX, and several other ventures, stood in the doorway of his private office, looking out at the sprawling runway ahead. He was used to flying, accustomed to the comfort and speed of his own private jet. But today was different. The air felt heavy, like something was on the horizon. As the CEO of multiple high-stakes companies, Elon had grown accustomed to risks. Whether it was launching rockets into space or disrupting industries with electric cars, he had never shied away from danger. But there was something about the impending storm that unsettled him. Maybe it was the deep, ominous clouds rolling in from the west, or the weather reports that warned of a massive thunderstorm moving across the Bay Area. Elon's trusted pilot, Captain Jameson Hayes, stood by the jet with a serious expression. Jameson had been flying Elon for years through countless business trips and some of the most high-profile meetings in the world. He was calm, collected, and always professional until now. Elon, Captain Hayes began, his voice steady but carrying an air of uncertainty. "I'm afraid I can't fly today. Not in this storm." Elon, who was typically in control of every situation, raised an eyebrow. He had always trusted Captain Hayes with his life, but this was a rare moment of hesitation. "What do you mean you can't fly? We've got to make it to that meeting in New York. It's critical." Jameson shook his head, his face resolute. "The storm's too severe. We're talking about lightning, turbulence, wind speeds that could exceed what this jet is built to handle. It's not safe, Elon. I can't take the risk." Elon stared at his pilot, processing the words. This was a man who had flown through all kinds of conditions: ice storms in the middle of the North Atlantic, turbulent skies over the Pacific, but this was different. There was genuine concern in Jameson's eyes. For a moment, there was silence between them. Elon wasn't used to being told no. He was the kind of person who defied odds, who broke barriers, who made the impossible possible. The idea of missing an important meeting, especially one that could shape the future of his companies, was unfathomable. But as he gazed at the looming storm in the distance, a part of him knew that Jameson was right. The sky had turned an eerie shade of gray and the winds were beginning to pick up, rustling the trees along the runway. The kind of storm that could turn a routine flight into a nightmare. "Okay," Elon finally said, his voice softer than usual. "I trust you. But we can't just sit here. We need a plan." Jameson nodded, relieved that Elon understood. "We'll wait this out. The storm should pass in a few hours. But we're not flying in this. It's too dangerous." Elon let out a deep breath, staring at the plane that was meant to take him to New York. His thoughts raced, but one thing was clear: he would not be sidelined by a storm. He'd never let something as trivial as weather stand in his way. As the storm clouds continued to roll in, Elon walked away from the plane, his mind already spinning. He wasn't the type to sit idly by. He needed to act, to do something. As the storm clouds darkened the sky, Elon found himself pacing in the private terminal, unable to shake the feeling of unease. Captain Hayes had already begun going over the weather reports once more, but Elon was focused on what was next. He couldn't afford to waste time waiting for the storm to pass. He had a crucial meeting with investors in New York, and delaying it would jeopardize months of preparation and negotiation. Elon wasn't one to let circumstances dictate his actions. Where others saw challenges, he saw opportunities. As the minutes ticked by, his frustration began to mount, and the voice of reason was replaced by the drive to do something revolutionary, something that would turn this situation on its head. He couldn't just sit around waiting for the storm to pass. No, he had to take control of the situation. He walked over to the hangar's control desk where a few Tesla engineers were preparing equipment for a different kind of mission. They were all immersed in their tasks, but as soon as they saw Elon approach, they looked up, waiting for his direction. "Elon, is everything all right?" one of them asked, noticing the unusual tension in the air. Elon stood tall, his mind racing. He wasn't just an inventor or entrepreneur, he was a problem solver, a man who had faced countless obstacles and come out victorious. His eyes locked with the engineers. "I need a plane," he said decisively. "And I need it now." The engineers exchanged a glance. They were accustomed to Elon's requests being, shall we say, unconventional. But this was different. The storm was no small matter. "You know the weather's bad, right?" one engineer asked, almost hesitantly. "I'm not talking about flying in this," Elon replied, a spark of inspiration lighting his eyes. "We're going to do something better. I need something to cut through the storm to defy it. Like what? The engineer asked, bewildered but curious. Elon walked over to a nearby drafting board, a new idea forming in his mind. I want to build a custom storm-proof drone capable of carrying me from here to New York. We'll take the meeting virtually, but I need a way to beat the storm. The engineers blinked at each other. They knew Elon had built rockets, electric cars, and AI-driven vehicles, but a storm-proof drone for a cross-country trip? It seemed almost ludicrous. But that's when Elon's mind really kicked into gear. Think about it, he continued. We already have Tesla vehicles with autopilot. Why not build a drone with advanced AI, powered by Tesla technology, that can fly through any weather conditions? A solution that will make flying safer, even in the most extreme conditions. As Elon spoke, the engineers began to light up with excitement. This was the kind of problem they thrived on, something that pushed the boundaries of what was possible. They quickly huddled together, hashing out ideas and sketching concepts. It was clear that Elon's challenge wasn't going to be about waiting for the storm to pass. It was about facing it head-on. We'll need a strong frame, something that can withstand high winds and turbulence. Maybe we could integrate the same materials we use for SpaceX. Something lightweight yet incredibly durable, one engineer suggested. Elon nodded in agreement. Exactly. And we'll need cutting-edge navigation software to avoid obstacles, deal with lightning strikes, and still be able to make a precise landing. The storm outside raged on, but inside the hangar, something remarkable began to happen. Engineers and technicians rushed to work, coordinating efforts with the precision of a well-oiled machine. Elon's vision was quickly turning into reality. While the team was hard at work, Elon took a step back and watched. He wasn't just the visionary CEO at this moment, he was a leader guiding his team toward the impossible. There was no way the storm was going to stand in their way, not with Elon Musk at the helm. Within a few hours, the design was ready. The storm-proof drone, which they would later name Storm Rider, was a remarkable blend of cutting-edge technology, innovation, and sheer determination. Its frame was constructed from SpaceX-grade materials, its engines were modified to handle the intense pressure of high-speed wind, and its AI software was tailored for seamless autopilot navigation. Elon stood next to the completed drone, feeling a sense of pride. It wasn't just a solution to his immediate problem, it was a symbol of what humanity could achieve when faced with adversity. And now it was ready to take flight. Captain Hayes, who had been observing the progress with a mixture of disbelief and admiration, walked up to Elon. You sure about this, boss? I've never seen anything like it. Elon smiled, his eyes gleaming with excitement. The storm won't know what hit it. With that, Elon Musk, the visionary who had reshaped multiple industries, was about to take on a storm like no one had ever done before. The hangar was buzzing with energy as the last few tweaks were being made to the Storm Rider drone. Elon stood by the side, arms crossed, eyes fixed on the machine that was about to carry him into one of the fiercest storms he had ever encountered. He felt the familiar sense of excitement and anticipation. This wasn't just about a flight anymore. It was about pushing the limits of technology and human ingenuity. This was a challenge to the elements themselves. The storm outside was intensifying, but inside, the team was ready. The drone was sleek and futuristic, with a wide, reinforced frame that could withstand the battering winds, a powerful engine system designed for stability in the most turbulent air, and advanced sensors that could detect and adapt to the storm's ever-changing conditions. This wasn't your typical drone. This was a machine designed for battle. Jameson Hayes, still a little skeptical, watched from a distance as Elon made his way towards the cockpit of the drone. Are you really going to do this? He asked, his voice low, not wanting to spoil the moment but unable to suppress his doubts. Elon turned, a slight grin tugging at his lips. Jameson, you know me. When the storm comes, we don't wait for it to pass. We go straight through. As Elon settled into the cockpit, the crew completed their final checks. The system was fully operational and the AI was primed to handle the entire flight autonomously. Elon would just need to monitor things and give occasional input. He had no intention of backing down now, not after everything they built in such a short time. All right, Elon said, more to himself than anyone else, let's do this. With a press of a button, the Storm Rider roared to life, its engines humming like a beast ready to conquer the skies. The crew stepped back, watching in awe as the drone lifted off the ground, slowly at first, then more steadily as it gained altitude. Elon could feel the force of the wind pushing against the machine, but the drone's stability systems kept it steady, cutting through the rising gusts like a hot knife through butter. Up in the sky, the storm loomed ahead, dark clouds swirling violently, lightning flashing, and the heavy rain pelting down like a relentless barrage. Elon knew the path ahead would be rough, but this was his moment, and he wasn't about to turn back. The world below became a blur as the drone ascended into the turbulent sky, heading straight into the heart of the storm. The first few minutes were smooth as the drone navigated through a patch of lighter clouds. Elon felt a surge of confidence. He was defying nature itself, and the machine he had built, powered by Tesla's most advanced AI, was handling it beautifully. But soon, the true force of the storm began to reveal itself. Suddenly, a violent gust of wind rocked the drone, shaking it violently. The cockpit lights blinked as the drone's systems recalibrated, responding to the surge of turbulence. The storm was no longer just a distant threat, it was here, and it was fierce. Elon's grip tightened on the controls, though he knew the AI would handle the navigation. "Come on, Storm Rider," he muttered, a sense of exhilaration rushing through him. The machine held firm, stabilizing quickly, the wind howling as it battered against the drone. The rain began to pour harder, the lightning now flashing around them like deadly strobe lights. But Elon didn't flinch. This was what he had designed the drone for, to face the worst nature could throw at it and come out the other side victorious. As the drone sliced through the storm, Elon's mind raced. He wasn't just thinking about the meeting in New York anymore, he was thinking about something bigger. This wasn't just a personal challenge. It was a moment for all of humanity. If this worked, it could change the way we approach transportation, aviation, and even disaster relief. A drone that could fly safely through the most dangerous of storms could open up new possibilities for travel, saving lives, and even reshaping how we respond to natural disasters. But before he could get too lost in his thoughts, the storm threw another curveball. A bolt of lightning cracked through the sky, striking nearby, but not directly at the drone. Still, the shockwave from the strike sent a ripple through the air, jolting the drone off course for a split second. The AI was quick to respond, correcting the flight path almost instantly. Elon's heart skipped a beat as he felt the force of the turbulence. But the machine held steady, its sensors absorbing the impact and recalibrating in real time. This was a test of everything: the technology, the design, the sheer will to succeed. The Storm Rider was performing beyond expectations. Out the window, Elon could see flashes of lightning illuminating the chaos around them. He was flying through the heart of the storm, not waiting for it to subside, but instead embracing the challenge. The drone swayed momentarily, but the AI kept it locked in position, cutting through the storm's heart with unmatched precision. "Now, this is what I'm talking about," Elon said to himself, the exhilaration in his voice unmistakable. Minutes passed, and the storm grew even more intense. The lightning strikes became more frequent, and the winds reached a terrifying velocity, pushing the drone to its limits. But through it all, the machine remained solid. The Storm Rider wasn't just surviving, it was thriving. Elon knew he had made the right choice. They had built something legendary, something that could truly change the world. As the drone continued its steady path through the storm, Elon was struck by a sense of quiet awe. Despite the chaos outside, the torrential downpour, the deafening thunder, the streaks of lightning cutting across the sky, inside the cockpit, everything felt eerily calm. The AI system, designed to adapt in real time, was functioning flawlessly. The Storm Rider had now become more than just a piece of technology. It was a testament to the power of innovation, a symbol of human resilience in the face of nature's raw fury. Elon glanced at the control panel, seeing that the AI had adjusted the drone's trajectory, calculating the optimal flight path to avoid the worst of the storm's core. The autopilot was making real-time adjustments, shifting altitude to avoid pockets of turbulence, countering wind gusts, and keeping the drone on course. But this was far from a standard flight. With each passing minute, the storm seemed to intensify. The rain lashed against the drone's reinforced hull, and the wind howled, trying to tear the machine apart. Yet, the Storm Rider kept cutting through it like a hot knife through butter. "Elon, we're approaching the eye of the storm," Captain Hayes' voice crackled through the comms. "This is going to be the toughest part of the journey. The winds are going to double in intensity. Are you sure about this?" Elon's eyes narrowed as he studied the weather data on his screen. The eye of the storm was close, very close, but the drone was built for this very moment. It wasn't just a vehicle, it was a piece of machinery designed to withstand forces that had previously been untouchable. In that moment, Elon made a decision he wasn't turning back. The storm couldn't win. Not today. We're going straight through it, Elon said firmly, his voice steady. This is what we came here for. Let's push the limits. The next few minutes felt like an eternity. The storm surged forward, unleashing the full extent of its fury as the drone flew directly into the eye. Suddenly, the entire atmosphere seemed to shift. The winds whipped harder and lightning crackled around them as though the storm itself was retaliating against the audacity of this lone drone flying through its heart. Elon gripped the controls as the storm rider dipped and soared, responding to the surge in wind pressure. The drone's engines roared louder, but the advanced stabilization system kicked in and the AI made fine-tuned adjustments to the flight path. For a split second, it seemed like the storm rider might falter. The turbulence was severe and a deep rumble of thunder shook the entire structure. Yet the drone held steady, its AI algorithms anticipating every movement, keeping Elon on course. It was as though the machine and the storm had become locked in a dance, an intense battle of wills, one where neither could truly dominate but each had its own strength. Elon's pulse raced, but he wasn't afraid. He had faced the impossible before, creating electric cars, launching rockets into space, making Mars a reality. This storm, no matter how fierce, was just another challenge to conquer. And with the storm rider, he felt unstoppable. Are we through it yet? Elon asked, his voice calm but laced with adrenaline. Almost there, Captain Hayes replied. The worst of it is behind us. We just need to clear these final pockets of turbulence. Elon nodded, his eyes focused on the storm's trajectory as he monitored the changes. The storm rider had weathered the worst of the storm, but there were still a few unpredictable swirls of wind and rain to navigate. He trusted the machine, the team, and the systems in place. It was a moment of pure faith in the technology they had created together. And then, just as quickly as it had come, the storm began to recede. The intensity of the winds and rain softened and the lightning became less frequent. The skies began to open, revealing a clear path forward. Clear skies ahead, Captain Hayes reported, his voice filled with relief. You did it, Elon. We're through the worst of it. Elon let out a breath he didn't even realize he had been holding. The adrenaline was still coursing through his veins, but the sense of accomplishment was undeniable. He had done it, he had flown through one of the most violent storms in recent memory, and the storm rider had passed the test with flying colors. The storm rider soared higher, breaking through the final remnants of the storm. As the skies cleared, Elon looked out over the horizon, the world below now visible in all its glory. The storm had been no match for his vision, and now the world had seen what was possible when technology and innovation combined. Elon leaned back in the cockpit, feeling a sense of pride wash over him. He had come to the hangar that morning with a problem, a storm that threatened to derail his important meeting. But through ingenuity, perseverance, and sheer willpower, he had not only solved the problem, he had redefined what was possible. With the storm finally behind them, the storm rider cruised towards New York, its mission complete. Elon knew that this was just the beginning. The drone had proven its potential, and now it would open up new frontiers for travel, safety, and disaster management. He could already envision a future where this technology could be used to save lives, deliver supplies to remote areas, or assist during natural disasters. The storm had been fierce, but so was Elon Musk. And just like always, when faced with an obstacle, he had found a way to turn it into an opportunity. As the storm rider continued its flight toward New York, the team on the ground at the hangar watched in silent awe. The drone had made it through the worst of the storm, an unprecedented feat that had defied all expectations. The storm had been a test, not just of the machine but of the very vision Elon had for the future of travel and technology. They had watched as the drone had danced with nature itself, and now they were watching history unfold in real time. Captain Hayes, still in communication with Elon, couldn't suppress a note of admiration. You've done it, Elon. You've made history today. This changes everything. Elon, his voice still calm and steady, replied, We didn't just make history, Jameson. We've opened the door to the future. This is just the beginning. The drone cruised smoothly now with the last remnants of the storm behind them. The horizon ahead was clear, the skyline of New York beginning to take shape in the distance. It was a breathtaking view, one that made Elon's heart race not with excitement but with a deep sense of purpose. He wasn't just a businessman or an inventor. In that moment, he felt like a pioneer, someone pushing the boundaries of what was possible. As the drone neared the city, Elon initiated the final approach. The AI system was flawless in its precision, guiding the storm rider safely through the skies above the bustling metropolis. Below, the city seemed oblivious to the storm that had just ravaged the skies above it. Life moved on, but for Elon and his team, everything had changed. They had just proven that it was possible to fly through the most violent storms and come out on the other side unscathed. This was no longer a theoretical achievement, it was a reality. The final descent was smooth, with the drone making its way toward a secure landing zone near the heart of the city. As it touched down gently on the tarmac, the entire hangar crew erupted into applause. It wasn't just a successful flight, it was a testament to what innovation, determination, and a little bit of risk-taking could achieve. Elon stepped out of the drone, a grin on his face as he surveyed the team. "I told you," he said, his voice filled with pride. "Storms don't stand a chance." The crew gathered around, their faces filled with awe and disbelief. They had just witnessed something incredible, a flight that would be talked about for decades. But for Elon, this was just another day in his quest to change the world. As he made his way toward the waiting press team, Elon knew the headlines would soon be filled with his name. But it wasn't the fame or the recognition that mattered to him. It was the fact that they had done something no one thought possible. They had taken on the storm and emerged victorious. The press conference was soon underway, and reporters from all over the world gathered around. Flashbulbs popped, cameras whirred, and microphones were thrust toward Elon. They asked him the same questions they always did, but this time, there was a new sense of excitement in the air. "Elon, how do you feel about this historic flight?" one reporter asked, his voice filled with awe. Elon paused for a moment, taking in the magnitude of the moment. "It's a big step forward, but I don't see it as just about this flight. I see it as a step toward a future where we no longer have to fear the storms or the obstacles in our way. It's about breaking down the barriers that hold us back and pushing the limits of what's possible." Another reporter chimed in. "What's next for the Storm Rider? Could this technology revolutionize transportation?" Elon smiled, his eyes twinkling with excitement. "This is just the beginning. We've proven that we can build machines capable of handling the toughest environments. This technology could be used for emergency relief, disaster response, and even high-speed travel. The sky is no longer the limit." The press conference continued, but as Elon spoke, he knew that the true significance of this moment would be felt long after the headlines faded. The Storm Rider was more than just a piece of technology, it was a symbol of what humanity could achieve when it dared to dream big, take risks, and never back down in the face of adversity. As the crowd slowly dispersed, Elon stood at the podium for a moment, reflecting on everything that had just happened. He had faced the storm, and instead of retreating, he had flown right into its heart. It had been a moment of personal triumph, yes, but more importantly, it had been a defining moment for the future. As he left the press conference, Elon received a call from his team back at the hangar. "Elon," Jameson's voice said, "you've not only done something legendary today, you've changed the game. The world is watching." Elon smiled, feeling the weight of his words. "The storm didn't win, Jameson, and neither will anything else. We're just getting started." And with that, Elon Musk once again proved that when it comes to pushing the boundaries of innovation, there is no storm too fierce, no challenge too great, and no vision too bold.